Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Let's Move Austin. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your host, Teresa Bastian.
Hello, everybody.
You crime scene investigator, you forensic real estate investigator.
Well, we are filming this right around Halloween. So, you know, true crime and the horror movies are on. It got me thinking about how it connects to real estate.
I like it. Well, it's super sticky. It's very curious, like forensic real estate. So today we're talking about why, the way we said it was why your house hasn't sold, but it's actually more than that. So let's go into the forensics of it.
Sure. Well, it occurred to me, we're seeing a little bit of an adjustment in the market here in Austin. Things are slowing down a little bit on the seller side. Things are sitting on the market a little longer. And I'm getting asked questions, sometimes by other realtors, sometimes by homeowners. Why hasn't this house sold? This house should have sold already. Why hasn't it sold? What could I do differently to refresh it, to remarket it? And I realized I do kind of instinctively have an entire menu of things I look at when I consider this, but I never really slowed down to teach it to someone else.
Right.
And I thought, well, if I'm slowing down to teach it to another agent, why don't we talk about it here and I can tell homeowners directly?
Yep. I think that's brilliant.
That process is forensic real estate, I think.
Yeah, I love that. There's a lot of questions that come up for why hasn't my house sold? What's going on? Like, and I think there's some misconceptions too. Like some people think, oh, well, you as an agent aren't doing your job, or you're not putting enough money into it, or you should. I don't know that anybody says you should run an ad in the newspaper anymore, but like,
no.
There are these like misconceptions about what's really going on. Whereas I think forensics can actually help us dig into what's really going on.
Right, because you want to know what's so. You don't want to know what you think the reason is. So when I look at it objectively, and it's much more easy to be objective if I'm working with another agent. Someone in my brokerage, sometimes it's agents who aren't in my brokerage that ask for my advice because I know these areas of town so well and I know pricing. So number one, I will just say this, and we're not going to talk about it too much, but price will cure everything. So at the right price, everything sells.
Right.
Now, if you've got a situation where you're trying to not adjust the price, all the rest of this falls into play. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Got it.
So price, number one, done.
Right.
So then I'll ask, well, how many showings have you had? I'll look at how long it's been in the market. I'll review the pictures that I can see and how the marketing remarks are worded. And I'll ask a series of questions like how many days has it been on the market? And then I'm comparing that to the average number of days for homes like this in that neighborhood or a similar neighborhood.
Yep.
So sometimes you got to remember, you think it should sell in the first week, but maybe the average is 34 days. So we have to adjust the expectation.
Yeah, I like that.
Now, if the average is 34 days and we're at 68 days or 79 days, then we know something needs to be adjusted.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. So first of all, what are the facts? Where are we? Okay. I also do a detailed analysis of other homes like this one that have sold recently. Most interestingly, if they sold while this house was on the market.
Right. Because that means that a buyer bought that one and not this one. Why was that?
Yes. I'm not looking at what they could have bought it in August, but we didn't hit the market till September. This house was on the market with another house in the same neighborhood, similar size, same schools. Why didn't they pick this one? And I will go through those homes that are pending or sold, and I will look at everything about them. Okay, because those are the winners. Somebody chose that one. Right. So I will compare price. I will compare the photo quality, the number of photos. Did they start with the picture of the front door? Did they start with a special feature? Were these homes vacant, staged, or did they have a homeowner's regular lived-in furniture? Okay, so I'll look for patterns. In some neighborhoods, vacant homes, they sell. In other neighborhoods, there might only be one or two vacant homes on the market, and they seem very sterile compared to the ones that are beautifully staged or even just have regular furniture in them.
Right. Okay? Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm loving this. My mind is going all over the place for like the forensics of it. I'm like, oh, this is so good. There's so many different angles to look at, and most people just don't. So I love this.
Well, and see, that's why the analogy to forensics really made sense to me, because you really are digging.
Yeah.
Right? You're digging deep into what you can know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's talk about the comments. I will literally look at what features were emphasized in the comments of the homes that sold versus the ones that are sitting on the market. Okay. If I see a pattern that certain schools are mentioned a lot, but this home sitting on the market hasn't brought the schools up, that's an easy fix to make, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So what's being emphasized? Another thing that a lot of agents aren't even aware of, in the multiple listing, at least here in Austin, we can drill down on the sold listing and see if there were any closing costs paid by the seller.
Wow.
We can see what the amount of any repairs that was negotiated was.
Wow.
So I might be thinking, well, that house sold for, say, $350. Why isn't this one selling for $350? But if I drill down, I can see there were $10,000 in closing costs paid.
Right.
So really that house sold for $340.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. The net was $340.
Yep.
And if that is a pattern consistently with the homes, I need to adjust my pricing to bear that in mind.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
That's good.
Or if there's a pattern where sellers are offering to pay the buyer's closing costs, and this listing that's sitting there, they'd be happy to pay it if they just get an offer. Well, you need to advertise that you're willing to do that, because you've got to be competitive to what your competition is.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So good. Can I say something? Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
I feel like, I'm not sure where you sit with Zillow, but things where like there is no forensics in an algorithm. An algorithm doesn't do forensics like this, right? It just kind of tries to use data, but it doesn't actually ask the questions with the perspective that you're asking from. And so, I would just say anybody listening to this who's relied on. It's
the difference between, pulling up one of the free websites to do your will.
Right.
You can do it that way.
Yeah, good point.
But if you have a actual attorney giving you some advice with it, you're probably going to end up with a more robust, comprehensive document that's going to be what you want at your end of life.
Yeah.
Not betting on, 6 pieces of paper you paid $49.99 for.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Okay.
Keep going.
Well, now we've talked about forensics and wills, so I guess I'm not sure what that says about. Let's go on to getting the house sold. Another thing, that's super nerdy, but I do it. I will look back at the house that's sitting on the market and I'll read all the documents online. Realtors can put documents up for other realtors to see.
Yeah.
For example, is the survey accurate? Does it seem like it's really old? Is it a bad copy? Did they draw in, there's a fence that crosses into the neighbor's driveway? Maybe there's something in the documents that is off-putting to potential buyers. And sometimes, sellers just scan them over to the agent and their assistant puts them up. Did they really even look at them? So the seller disclosure. Did it say there was some kind of problem in the past, but they didn't explain that it's been resolved or offer documentation that it's been resolved? Maybe there are some things you can do in those documents to tidy up.
Yeah. This makes me think of, it's not as common in a hot market, but it still happens. And now as the market's leveling out, like it makes me think of expired listings. If you've had a listing that expired, this forensic process is really good to help sort of isolate why didn't it sell.
Well, exactly. And I think that's where this comes so instinctually to me, because I've worked in a market where the, homes took a long time to sell and properties did expire. And now I'm working with a group of agents that primarily haven't been in the business as long as me, and they're a little challenged by this. So I find that this is a really useful skill that I have just from years of doing it in a different market. But another thing, I'll go on.
Yes, please keep going. This is so good.
Like now that when I really started trying to nail down what I do, it got me all geeked out. But another thing is, let's say there's 7 homes in your neighborhood similar to yours that are still on the market. Okay. And yours is sitting. If you're the homeowner and, I don't represent you, sorry, but you could ask your agent to take you back and look at those other homes. Like the competition that was your competition 60 days ago isn't your competition now. Have you looked at your competition? Maybe if you look through your competition, you'll notice things like, maybe there's a level of cleanliness. Maybe there's a cent difference. Okay. Like the data's there. Those other homes are the data. Are you looking at them? Is your agent looking at them? Has your agent been back to your property since it was listed?
Yeah.
Especially if it's vacant, right? Like if there's a giant dead cockroach over by the chimney, fireplace, like, I mean, everybody knows we have bugs in Texas, but they don't want to see them in an empty vacant house.
Right. Yeah. Okay. It's really good.
So,
it's very easy for, it's very common, I think, in the real estate industry for people to take the listing and then not revisit it, right? We just kind of hope that the market will do all the heavy lifting. But sometimes there are things like you just said that like checking in on the listing is important.
Especially if it's vacant. I recommend my agents that I work with that you physically go to the listing once a week. I think it's that important. And if it's cleared out vacant, I always bring some cleaning supplies and keep there just for minimal things. Like maybe it rained and there's mud tracked in. You need to sweep it up.
Right. Good point.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. Okay.
Another thing that you can do, in the computer system we have, I can see which houses have gone pending. Okay. So that means they have an offer accepted on them. And that usually takes between 2 weeks and 6 weeks to close. While they're pending, I can't see what price they went under contract at. I can just see what price they were asking.
Right.
So let's say there are 6 of those homes. Maybe the average price is running about $350. Maybe every one of those homes is under contract for less than the average list price. You know, you can call the listing agent. You can ask what price they're under contract at. They might tell you, they might not. You might be able to say, well, is it more than 5% from what you were listed at? I mean, you might be able to get some information that would be really helpful, especially in a market that's leveling down.
Right.
If you're going by the last 90 days of price trend, then you're missing what's currently going on. So looking at those pendings becomes more important.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So good. What else?
I've even been known to call, when a house sells, I can then in the computer system see, not just who the listing agent was, but I can see who represented the buyer. I've been known to call those agents and say, hey, that property over on, Colberg Street? What did your clients like so much about that? Did they see the one on Shirley Avenue? How, what was the difference?
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll remember, sometimes they won't. But if I get even a couple good, solid pieces of information that can help, it's worth making the calls, I think.
It sounds like a lot of work to me, Teresa. What? It sounds like you do a lot of work. What is this? What are you doing?
I know. Everybody thinks real estate is so glamorous, but there is a lot of hard work.
There is some work. If you do it right, if you're really going to protect and be a fiduciary for your client, there's a lot of work. That's good.
Well, and there's a side benefit to it, right? I'm helping my client, but I'm also going to come away knowing exactly what is going on in this neighborhood to a level that most agents, frankly, don't know today as much as I do. Yeah. So for my know-it-all side of me, that's a nice benefit too.
Yeah, big time.
I do like knowing.
Yeah.
Couple other things. I'm looking at a list, obviously. You want to make sure that there's correct data. Sometimes I do see where an agent has copied an old listing. Maybe the house sold 15 or 18 years ago, and now there's been a school boundary change or a new school built. And this current listing still references the old school. So it's not showing in the searches, right? Okay, so is the data accurate? Right. Did someone click that it has septic when it's really connected to city sewer? Some buyers just won't look at anything on septic.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So does it have gas? If it says it doesn't have gas, did anyone really check that it doesn't have gas?
Yeah.
That's a big deal. People search by these filters.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Totally.
I also take the step to Google the address. Okay. If that will give me some idea of how much marketing the current agent has done online. It won't tell me everything. Sure. But it'll tell me some things.
Right. And what would you notice? What would you look for? When you Googled it, what would you look for? Like a property virtual tour or just a...
Yeah. And I also look to just see what comes up.
Yeah.
Because maybe, several down. Google is very strong in search engine optimization, right?
Yep.
Pretty much the only game in town. So if Google Earth has their photo of the property has a big pile of junk in front of it and some broken down cars or something that's perceived as bad, maybe, I mean, not like I'm going to get Google Earth to change their picture, but maybe I need to be aware that there's a potential problem out there.
Right.
Okay. I don't know what I'm going to find. Maybe there was a crime committed at that address. And when you Google the address, all these news stories come up.
Yeah. Good point.
Point is, I don't know, but I do it as a step.
That's the whole thing about forensics is you don't know, you're investigating.
I'm digging.
Digging. That's good. Okay.
It's similar. I always check our county permits. Are there any outstanding permits for that? Maybe the property's been a flip or there's an addition and buyers get excited about it, but then their agents do their homework and find out there's open permits that haven't been closed.
Right.
Or, something's red tagged. I showed a property recently that was vacant, and the hot water heater, when we opened the closet to check on it, it was red tagged by the city.
What? Wow. Yeah. What does that mean? Red tagged? What? It
means the city came and shut off the gas to that property and put a red tag on the gas hot water heater so that nobody would turn it on without doing the proper repairs first.
Oh, wow.
Not a great first impression. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, tell them what they want. What could you?
Kind of made you think that maybe the seller or the listing agent should have, known about that or, put a note on it like this will be repaired Tuesday.
I know, right? Or to your point, like price can fix anything. Like, you could sell it for cheap enough and maybe they want to take on the problem.
Right. But if that's a home with 10 other homes competitively priced, I'm going to pass on the one that has been, red tagged as a gas leak.
Exactly. Yeah. Anything that creates concern and fear. That's not good.
So,
This is amazing. Is there more? This is
I'm looking at my list. I think, I'll end with this one. Okay. This is my last one on my list. The photos. We all know people start their searches online often before they know they're searching to buy a house or they have a realtor or they know they have money for a mortgage. People love looking at real estate pictures.
Yeah.
So let's talk. The pictures on this property, were they professionally taken or not? If you are in Austin and you are not using a professional photographer, you are way behind. This town, the standard is up here. Yep. And if you're going around with your cell phone or even a nice camera, it's not, it's visibly stands out when people compare your listing to others.
Wow.
Okay.
Yep.
So I don't care how cheap you are, you're paying a professional. End of story. Okay. But beyond that, I say this because I literally saw a listing this past week on the computer, I didn't go in person,
right?
But the agent had uploaded photos that were taken by their cell phone from a previous listing. They literally had the image number on the.
Oh no!
Yeah.
What?
I just can't.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
So no, don't do that. Don't take them out your car window either.
Yeah.
Okay. So professional photos. We're minimum professional photos. Okay, but beyond that, when we're talking about forensics, look at the homes that have been chosen. The pendings and the solds. How many photos did they have? We are allowed to have up to 40 in our multiple listing service.
Wow, nice.
Some homes, it's really stretching to find 40 things to take a picture of. So I personally don't always have 40 if it means that someone is clicking for a vacant wall, another vacant wall, another, I try to move them through in an appropriate number of clicks for the house.
Right. Yeah.
But if you're noticing that all of the houses that are being chosen have 40 pictures, maybe look at what are they taking pictures of? Yeah. Maybe they're including pictures of the 3 pools in the neighborhood or the amazing park or the Velaway. Okay. Maybe there's neighborhood assets that could be shown that this house, the marketing is missing and therefore you're missing out on buyers.
Do you think even the order of the photos is important to look at?
I do think the order is very important. And again, I'll look at what worked. Did they all have a picture of the same boring front door? Or did some start with a beautifully remodeled kitchen? Now, my house might not have a beautifully remodeled kitchen, so it may not be an option. But I think it's always worth looking at the ones that have been pending or sold to see what works.
That's good.
What am I up against? Okay, so I'm always recalibrating.
Yeah.
Also, look at the pictures again. Maybe somebody took the standard number of pictures with a professional photographer and they put all 40 of them up there, but maybe a couple of them really should be removed to put the house's best foot forward. Okay, like maybe the trim color in the bathroom is turquoise, and maybe it'd just be better not to show that.
Right.
If the rest of the house looks more neutral.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have to show every picture. The point of the pictures is to draw people in. So you just need enough for that. Another thing is we can put captions on our photos so that when a homeowner is, sitting online at night and they're clicking through, when they're looking at something, there's additional room to describe it. So I can show a picture of the kitchen and describe how old the appliances are. Whereas up front, I have very limited space to talk about that level of detail.
Right.
You'd be surprised how many agents don't put the captions. That's a missed opportunity because you can explain a lot more.
Right. That's great. Yeah.
That's what I got for you.
That's so good. Forensic real estate. Oh man. And there's so much, what's cool in this conversation is there's so much that goes into selling a house. So much.
There really is. People underestimate it. And I think as the market just gets a little more normalized, it's not a bad market. It's literally just getting normal. I think that people are going to see that with the longer days on market and the more selection of homes out there, it really does matter that you're working with someone who's taking, that level of time to look every week and readjust.
That's really good. I love it. Well, if people want to connect with you and your forensic team or, your forensic process, how can they reach out to you to have you?
You can give me a call or shoot me a text at 512-297-3442 or drop me an email that should be on the screen.
Perfect. Awesome. Teresa, thanks for a great episode and being the forensic all-star that you are.
Thanks, Chris.
I'll
Bye,
catch
everybody.
You next episode. See ya.